few things. Respectfully, that's bat crazy, everything you just said. Respectfully.
Immigration is a big issue from us because the system is really not working for anybody.
Thanks to, like I said, people like you, thanks to all this independent media, we could get the truth. And through corporate media, they've been lying to us for years, and we finally can see what's really going on. They can't hide it because you're going straight to the people.
You know, you guys, it's not even like watching news. It's just watching truth, you know. It's just watching, like, not just speaking truth to power, but speaking truth to people.
Bernie Sanders won Nevada. As I said, there's no way around it. He absolutely won.
You to go back to
Saudi Arabia. And I've been here my family well before the Civil War. I had two brothers fighting Iraq. And they told me that they don't have a problem with my religion because that's what they fought for, was the freedom of America.
Just that, just holding up, taking it one day at a time. Just one day at a time. As you can see, we just got through the holiday, so it's definitely, her presence was definitely missed. So, yeah.
And even here in Cleveland, there were people who, even some of these progressives were saying they weren't going to go to the Browns games because some of the players said they would kneel.
Tell me, what do you think? Do you think that's right? No. So what are you going to do?
The man turned and saw me there recording his racism that he was displaying right out in the open, and he lunged at me in attack.
No, I'm talking to this guy here. Okay.
My knees were skinned, my elbows, my arm. The phone itself was completely, absolutely destroyed.
Just stopping us,
BLM. BLM's come in here and try to rip the flag and stuff. They threw paint on it.
The ideology of Antifa just attacked us.
Yeah.
The ideology.
You know the fake Antifa that Joe Biden says?
There's also a personal aspect for me. My mother worked here for 24 years. She was the residency coordinator of the neurology department, and this used to be a fantastic place.
The government's giving more help to the Fortune 500 companies than the corner grocery store.
Because we have a shortage of hospitals, or hospitals are closing all over the country, in rural areas and also in our urban areas, and it is immoral in every single way.
Talking about shutting down a major hospital and converting that property into hotels or condos or some other real estate opportunity.
If we had Medicare for all, it wouldn't be happening, period. That's just the end of the story.
You're factually wrong. The state legislature is Republican. What I don't understand is you keep saying they're going to have to recount it because there's fraud, but you can't actually explain where the fraud is, what the fraud is.
Yeah, exactly. I can't, but there's a lot of fraud going on.
We give a about you, Trump says. That's not to you. I give a about you. They don't give a about you.
Why to you is it such an infringement on freedom to wear a mask? That's what I'm asking.
It's annoying as hell, that's right.
Is it more annoying than death? But they have tried to ban transgenders from the military, other restrictions, employment discrimination against transgenders.
Well, that has stopped now since the Supreme Court ruling.
Right, but President Trump is the one who instituted it.
Right, but he was opposed to people joining the military for the sole purpose of being funded for sex change therapy. You know,
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Was following me outside. Was following me outside. I have credentials. I could show it to you. Is this how you treat the press? Do you see what's going on here? And then somebody came up to my cameraman without saying a word and just ripped his press thing off.
Look, man, I'm not happy at all. $600 million is not enough, because how do you put a price tag on my kids' brains, their organs, my heart, like all of the stuff that's happened because of this, the layered trauma, the deaths. There's literally no way to put a dollar sign on it.
Can you answer people 6 years later, is the water back to normal here?
Absolutely not.
The DNC just reached out to all the other candidates, and they pretty much just conspired to support Joe Biden. And I mean, just intervening with the democratic process.
The brotherhood is great, but we have something we're fighting for. That's why I joined the Proud Boys. So the brotherhood is great, but I joined it because I wanted to beat up some commies, man.
So we started to shut down city councils every single Wednesday for about close to 3 years on issues concerning houseless.
Black Lives Matter wants to eliminate police because actually the founders, if you read their page, they claim to be 3 lesbian separatists who hate black men. If you remove the police, they hate the nuclear family and they don't like heterosexuality.
Depressed. There's no other way to feel. There's no other way to feel except depressed, except angry, except upset, except not surprised. Unfortunately.
The live stream earlier, it was completely peaceful. People were blowing bubbles, people were squeaking rubber ducks. Absolutely peaceful. So you're the head of Proud Boys, you're from Florida. Chairman, okay. So what do you think about this event? Like, what was your goal here?
Our number one goal was really to get, and we could see it right behind you guys, really to get the police to do their job and to offer them the tools in order to get them to do their job. Now they have the ability to use CS gas, which is really important to us.
It's time that we get resources that we need. It's time that I get a full-time nurse at my school. It's time that I get a full-time counselor and resources in my community.
And the invisible prison of wealth inequality in itself that you talk about all the time. Why would Rachel Maddow ever, get out with a camera and microphone and put herself into that?
Chris Smalls is leading the march. Chris Smalls was an Amazon worker in Staten Island, New York, who was fired for trying to organize for safety.
He got rid of illegal, what's it called? He deported more people than any other president. And Trump
Prior to him, yeah.
So Trump is a good old boy. He just loves America. And he's not into identity politics. I'm not,
It's about the lives that are forever changed by these fires.
Poisoning the news that we are fed with those tainted sources. All we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative is the truth of mass suffering, injustice, and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo. To oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Hello. Jordan Sheridan live. Status Coup, Friday. What is it? September 17th. A couple days before my birthday. That's exciting. We are going to be doing something a little bit different. I don't know, Colin, if you're there, let me know. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. Kind of along the same theme of what we always do, which is cover the stories the corporate media covers up, continue covering the stories that the corporate media should have covered long ago. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I do think this might be a rough one. So, if you're, if you're human, maybe get some tissues. Because You know, one thing that really frustrates me as a journalist, and I know Jen too, is the fact that we live in this, in my view. Oh, I should say, smash the like button, thumbs up right onto the live stream. We've been getting extremely suppressed lately, so smash that like button. The more people that press like, the more people that will see. Colin, I'm gonna send you. Hold on. Technology. Colin, her number. 3. Sorry, guys. So one of the most frustrating things to me as a journalist, and part of this is the curse of being an independent journalist. As an independent journalist, you're not in the cushy elite journalistic circles that even if you break substance-free, kind of fluffy stories, it tends to circulate because you're in the cool club. Well, us, we tend to break, in my view, extremely important stories, whether it be on a massive cover-up related to Flint, or whether it be about this story that we're going to remind you on today. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because we're about to have Peshawn Brown's sister on. So if you don't know who Peshawn Brown is, if you don't know what happened, then I don't want to re-explain it now, because I think we're going to re-explain it with her sister. But this is a story about a woman who was an Amazon worker, who was young, 38 years old, single mother, and dropped dead one day. Came home one night, told her sister she had a headache, and the next morning died in her sleep. And there's a lot more to it. But honestly, in a sane world, in a sane country, this would have been leading the newspapers. But because companies like Amazon, frankly, control a lot of the media, whether directly through owning newspapers. Jeff Bezos is the owner of the Washington Post, or basically just continually spinning journalists. A journalist reaches out. Why don't you show this? A journalist reaches out, and Amazon spins them, lies to them, and the journalist dutifully reports whatever nonsense Amazon told them, usually for fear of losing access to Amazon. So definitely, I hope if you don't know this story, you're all paying attention, because this is very important. Smash the like button, share this live stream. Joining me, I think she's there. Hold on. Hello, Christina.
Hey, Jordan.
How are you today?
Not too good.
Can I trouble you to lift your camera a little bit? Because I'm only seeing... There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
So I met you, technically, not in person, but I met you in January. You and your sister together worked at Amazon for a while, and you left Amazon for reasons we'll get into, but your sister stayed. Before we get into what happened with your sister, I want to ask you, can you kind of talk about your experience with Peshawn working at Amazon? Because I don't know if you see it. And by the way, we should say today would have been Peshawn's 39th birthday. We see a lot of commercials. I don't know if you see them that look like kind of rainbows and sunshine with Amazon, wonderful delivery trucks dropping off packages, to safely and, timely without no human sacrifice. Amazon does commercials on their commitment to communities and whatnot. But you and your sister had a different experience working at Amazon. That's correct?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, we had an experience, I think that 99.9 of employees that work at Amazon have. Those commercials, I see them, and I don't know if those are paid actors. I don't know. I have to be careful about what I say because they love to watch your lives and they love to watch, you know.
Sure.
So
I'm sure they
I
watch
I
it.
think I want to say possibly, in my opinion, that they are maybe alleged paid actors. Um, they're going through the school and everything, and I think we talked about this last week. If you're working 12-hour shifts, um, when do you have time to go to school? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you're working 12-hour shifts and paying to go to school. Jordan, I'm just so emotional today. Today, my baby sister would have been 39 years old, and it's hurtful, and I don't even know how much I have in me today, this whole week. Um, but it hurted me when I saw that. I sent it to you. I don't know. We talked about it last week or this week. It hurted me when I saw that you'll pay for your employees to go to school. Hourly wait, you'll pay for employees to go to school, but you wouldn't pay for an autopsy or you wouldn't pay for a funeral for an employee that was COVID testing, that wasn't supposed to be COVID testing. It hurts me. That hurted me. It hurts me.
So let me explain it to the audience because there might be people tuning in that
Okay.
don't know
Okay.
Peshawn, don't know what happened. I'll explain it because I know today's tough on
Okay.
you. So
Thank you.
Peshawn was working at Amazon with Christina for a while, maybe a year or so, and you left. Peshawn stayed, and in the middle of the pandemic, in 2020, we should start by saying Peshawn had emailed human resources officials at Amazon, both in the Virginia warehouse as well as in the Seattle corporate headquarters. When she reached out to the Seattle corporate headquarters, she did it anonymously because she was worried about her job. But she complained to them about the unsafe conditions at Amazon during the beginning of this coronavirus pandemic, the fact that they weren't cleaning all over the warehouse. What they were cleaning, they were doing it insufficiently. They weren't cleaning the carts that you move product on.
Yeah.
There was no real social distancing. So she already flagged things to Amazon pretty early on. We're talking April and May 2020. Then later in the
it was it was definitely around April.
Later in the year, for some reason, Amazon, who it was up 84% in profit last year, instead of having doctors and nurses like creating a tent at outside the warehouse with nurses, doctors doing testing during the day for its workers, they had your sister, a 38-year-old single mother with no medical training or experience, along with a few other Amazon workers, playing doctor. And they asked Peshawn, with the promise of a bonus, to do the testing. So Peshawn was administering COVID nasal swabs up coworkers' noses all day. Amazon didn't give her an N95 mask. Amazon didn't give her proper gloves, visors for your face, gowns. I reported a couple months ago that showed video of the very tiny space they were doing this in, which didn't even have the plexiglass. So basically sent Peshawn out without any protection to conduct COVID nasal swabs. Mind you, the people Peshawn was testing, who knows if they have COVID at that minute. So one day, fast forward to January, she came home one night, and you guys were, best friends, spoke all day via text and whatnot, tells you she had a headache. Next morning, wakes up, cooks her daughter breakfast, still not feeling well, go back to bed, and she never woke up. And the next part, to be clear, you've said all along, I've said we don't know if she had COVID, but when you try to get an autopsy done, I mean, you and your family are not, wealthy. Amazon wouldn't even respond to you.
Nope. If we would not be working at Amazon. We would have never been working at Amazon. And
Right.
I'm glad you bring that up, Jordan. Not to cut you off, is because for the people, or I'll say, because I get the messages and people are like, well, How do we know she was emailing? You've seen everybody's seen, even the reporters that don't want to report on it, or the journalists that don't want to report on it, they've seen the emails. There were emails that were shared back and forth with Amazon and her email. There were questions on the concern board about it. And not to mention that, for the people who are not sure how a death works, if in certain states, if it's not a homicide or suicide, then the medical examiner can rule it as natural causes. If when the police gets there on scene and the emergency and the 911 rescue, if they don't feel that it was foul play or anything like that, then if they're not going to come out, and especially during that time, they will rule it as they'll talk to an officer. I guess the people they have a special unit when somebody is called, when somebody is dead in their sleep. There's a special unit to come out, and they'll talk to the coordinator, and if they see fit that it's not a homicide or suicide, they'll rule it as natural causes, and that means that the family is responsible for an autopsy. It's not like and I'll just use this as an example. When a police shoots or kills somebody, the state is automatically going to pay for an autopsy. If there's a homicide or a suicide, the state is automatically going to pay for that. It's because they have to pay for that. They have to determine how the death happened, why, all of these things. So it fell on our burden because it was ruled as a natural causes because someone died in their sleep and there was no signs of suicide or homicide. So they have to rule that. So that means that we have to hire a private doctor during COVID to do an autopsy, and he would have to hire other people to help him do an autopsy, move the body there, which starts at, anybody can look at how much an autopsy starts at for a private doctor. If you can find one that's going to do it. He may not be comfortable with doing it because he's not her doctor. He doesn't know anything about anything. Those things start at alone at $27,000, anywhere between $27,000 and up. And if you can't find that in your state, and if you find a doctor who's cheaper out of state, then we already know to move a person, especially a dead body, across state lines. How much is that? Everybody can look it up. So I reached out to them and asked them for help, and they told me that they would get back to me. And that's after they called to find out why she was not at work.
Right. And we should also point out that they had called you days after Peshawn had passed, basically acting like they didn't know. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think they did it twice. They did it twice. The first time they called to find out why she hadn't came to work, and I thought they were calling back to tell me something about if they would help or even go half, because I was looking for help anywhere. As far as for the autopsy, for the funeral, I was looking for help anywhere. I even was like, well, if there's something half that you guys can do with what I have. And I thought that's what they were calling back for, but then they said they were calling to figure out why she didn't come to her shift.
Right. And hold on one second. I want to also ask you, when Peshawn was doing this, the COVID testing, you guys talked sometimes during the day, you guys FaceTime sometimes during the day. Was she ever talking about like what the conditions were? Were people coming in coughing? Did she have proper gear? Did she have any concern about what she was doing?
I mean, we talked, she was my baby sister. We talked at least 20 times a day. The shift that I worked was 4:45 to 10 in the morning, because I had another job that I had to go to. And she worked her shift. Well, the shift that she worked, the safety of COVID department, was from 9 to 6. She worked that Sunday through Thursday. She would be on the phone with me, and sometimes she would have to get off the phone with me. People were coming in, throwing up. I mean, it was a lot of stuff going on. I mean, if you can imagine, I don't even think people can understand. Everything was closed down. Amazon was 24 hours a day. People were coming in. I think there was a problem with unemployment, people getting stuff. It was a lot of stuff that was happening just throughout the world, not even in Amazon. So, people had lost their jobs. Companies was closing. So Amazon, I think they had made the most money that they had ever made around the COVID time. From what I can tell, when I was there, the goals, the quotas just kept going up, going higher. People were sick. They were scared to say that they were sick. They were throwing up. they were scared to say anything. And then when they did say something, okay, you don't say anything. How long? Who are you? I mean, it was just a lot of stuff that was going on. There was a lot of stuff going on. And I asked her, how do you, like, when does it come back? Does the people have COVID? How do you know? And she said it wouldn't come to them. They would get notified. They would get notified themselves. So you could test 12 people that day, and out of those 12 people, 6 people have COVID, and you don't even know it. And you're not even protecting yourself, because at the time people really didn't even know how to protect themselves. As far as it was a lot of stuff going on. It was a lot of stuff going on. And I think that I think me and my sister, we're totally two different people. Her responsibilities and my responsibilities were we had two different lives, two different responsibilities. I think when people say, well, if she signed up at Amazon to be this and to be that, why was she COVID testing? But I don't think that anybody can judge her. And I don't think that anybody should judge anybody, because until you walk in a person's shoes, you don't know what somebody has to go through, and you don't know what her responsibility is and the things that she had to do. You don't know what she had on her plate. And at the end of the day, people are asking why, if she signed up to be a sorter, if she signed up to be this, why was she COVID tested? And I'll ask these people, because I get the messages, and I see the things that people send me and stuff. And it hurts me, because you're speaking on my sister, and you're speaking on my sister who was not here, and you're speaking on my sister who you don't ask the doctors and the nurses that have passed away, do you? You're a doctor and a nurse. You know that when you sign up for that job, especially around that time that you're putting your life in danger, that's what you signed up to do. You went to school for. She didn't do that. So at the end of the day, the more question is, why is no one not questioning or asking Jeff Bezos? Why did he have standard and regular employees who were not trained, certified, or licensed to do COVID testing, and training other employees to train other employees to do COVID testing, to swab and stick things up people's nose? That's the question. So I just want people to understand that I'm very passionate about my sister, and I miss my sister. Today, my sister would have been 39, and I never went a day without talking to my sister in my whole life. I never went a day, at the most, maybe 15, 16 hours without talking to her. So I want people who want to be judgmental and they want to say things, I want them to understand. I know it's hard for us as humans, especially Americans, to have compassion for anybody, but I want people to understand that while you're sitting here and you want to judge and you want to criticize my sister, I want you to ask or write, email, comment. They can see the comments. Amazon sees. I want you to ask why Jeff Bezos, who's a trillionaire, why didn't he hire doctors and nurses to come in? Why didn't he even set up a COVID relief station outside the warehouses to COVID test people? Why was he trying to do this and have other employees COVID testing employees? And that's what I want people to ask. So when you think about typing something or sending a message or sending an email, I want you to think very seriously. I want you to think about that. You're talking about a woman who is a single woman, a single mother, why she was doing that versus why a man who has a whole army behind him, news companies, journalists, reporters willing to lie for him. And I'm not going to say alleged, willing to lie for him, because they've called me and I've said one thing to them. They've done research and they did not put the story. They did not put anything out. They did not even report on it. And besides, I want you to find out why he did not do what he was supposed to do. Why he did not hire doctors and nurses to COVID test. And if you were going to do this and you were going to have regular employees who came to you to be a sorter or a packer, why didn't you get them why didn't you train them? Why didn't you train them well? Why didn't you have a doctor in there on hand? And I think people, before you type or you write something or you ask a question that you have to think on, or you want to be mean and nasty, keep in mind that she is my sister and she had left behind a daughter, and that she had no business doing that. And you don't know what her situation was. You can't even imagine what was on her shoulders or what she had to go through or what she went through. So why anybody wants to ask question, I want you to direct all your questions to Jeff Bezos at Amazon.com and find out why he did not hire the proper people to do the proper training. And not only that, why he didn't just, I mean, who cares? If you're a trillionaire, billionaire, millionaire, you own your own business. At the end of the day, you wanted things to be done right. And then you want to offer and you want to donate money to people, 100 million, but you couldn't even, I mean, what's $20,000 to somebody to do an autopsy to get that off your head to say, okay, well, what is that?
Right.
What's $20,000 for a funeral? Like, what is that? That's crazy.
I actually want to read some of the emails that Peshawn had sent to Amazon. This was in 2020. Colin, if you could pull it up. This was from, we broke this story. In emails obtained by Status Coup, it's clear Peshawn had expressed concerns multiple times to Amazon about the lack of cleaning and safety protocols that were being taken to keep workers safe early during the pandemic. On April 8th, 2020, a day in which over 2,000 Americans died from COVID-19, Peshawn Brown emailed the HR department for DDC3, that was the Virginia warehouse, asking, quote, "Is this warehouse going to be professionally cleaned and sanitized?" An HR official responded 11 minutes later, telling Peshawn that Amazon had, quote, "implemented enhanced cleanliness and sanitation protocols across all facilities." The spokesperson offered a list of mostly non-enforceable measures the company had taken to ensure safety, including social distancing of 6 feet from others at all times, and providing face masks in, quote, "limited quantities" for employees. Other items the HR official listed, including Amazon taking employees' temperatures on a daily basis and prohibiting workers from shaking hands or other physical greetings. Having not received a direct answer on what Amazon was doing to clean and sanitize the warehouse, Brown responded to HR soon after, quote, "So what you're saying is that Amazon will not be closing the warehouse and professionally cleaned and sanitized." The next day, on April 9th, HR responded that DDC3 is not closing. So both you and many other Amazon sources, not just in the Virginia warehouse, but other warehouses have told me point blank, there was no social distancing during this pandemic. It's not possible to social distance in a warehouse. You also have the fact that I was told by several sources that there were people coming in coughing and things like that. Amazon didn't send them home. There was issues where if workers tested positive, Amazon told them, do not discuss it or tell anyone. The list goes on and on and on. They would not actually give workers hand sanitizer in the beginning. They reserved those for their customers. So the actual workers getting all of these products to you at home, they were not the first priority in terms of hand sanitizer. Also, the limited quantity masks they were saying they were providing were not N95 masks. And I was told by sources at several warehouses, the HR and executives were wearing N95 masks, while the workers, if they got masks, were wearing cloth masks. So bottom line, your sister reached out. This was before she was even conducting the COVID test, basically saying, hello, this is an emergency. We're like sitting ducks in here. You're not really cleaning. There is no social distancing. And from what it seems to me, Christina, they gave her lip service.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, now I have to say alleged for this because I know the truth. We know the truth. Anybody can look up the truth. I mean, I don't know if you can look this up, but there was, I have to say alleged so that, funny, they won't sue me because they love to sue. Allegedly, the whole fresh department, there was 14 employees that was COVID positive in the fresh department at Amazon. And people don't, if they don't, you know what a fresh department is, that's the groceries. That's the groceries. They were sending people from other parts of the warehouse, Prime, and to the fresh department. That's the groceries. There were people that was over 14 employees that were allegedly COVID positive. And I have to say allegedly, so so I won't get sued. But I was there when it happened. But I'll say allegedly anyway, just so that we won't get sued because imagine them suing me. So allegedly, allegedly that's what happened. And they were handling the groceries. They were handling the food. So I mean, it was not going to stop. It was not going to stop. You had to keep going. There were people that came that passed out. They had to call 911. So I mean, and if you said other employees told you that the managers were wearing N95 masks, that's great because I definitely didn't see any wearing them. I definitely didn't. Everybody was in cloth mask, the blue mask, or the mask that had the check Amazon on it. Or if somebody came in, an employee came in with their own N95 masks, but no, Amazon were not giving them out. They did not ever give them out. They did not give them out. And at one point we ran out of gloves, and I'm talking about gloves. So people were in there with no gloves. So, I mean,
I want to also read. So the day after, this was in April 2020, HR responded to her simply that we're not closing. Peshawn actually reached out to Amazon's corporate headquarters in Seattle. So she worked in Virginia. Amazon's corporate is in Seattle. So in the April 10th email, and Peshawn did not identify herself. She identified herself as a concerned individual, probably for fear of losing her job. Peshawn anonymously wrote that, quote, Amazon leadership is not concerned with their employees and that they had been sending out multiple text messages to employees to come into work despite the raging pandemic. Quote, Amazon is allowing its employees to come to work and be exposed to COVID-19 and taking it home to their families, Peshawn continued. They are also not concerned if their customers become sick. There is no screening process for flex drivers that deliver a good portion of packages to customers. So Peshawn revealed that the cleaning crew in Virginia warehouses weren't wearing masks, staying 6 feet from one another, and could only get to the areas where the employees weren't working, like the bathrooms, the break area, and lobby. Quote, they can't disinfect the carts, racks, and bags that the drivers and employees touch constantly, Peshawn wrote. She revealed that 3 to 4 employees had tested positive in a span of a few days, but their coworkers were only notified after the 4th employee tested positive. She explained that when workers asked for the warehouse to be closed for 48 to 72 hours for professional cleaning, the site manager turned them down, saying, quote, we will not lose money and we still have to do the numbers. The site will remain open. Quote, employees and managers are scared for their lives and do not want to come to work until the site is cleaned, she wrote. Quote, Amazon does not offer insurance for 80% of the employees that work at the warehouse. So if someone were to get sick, how will they receive medical treatment, let alone pay for their or their family's health care while contracting the virus? Peshawn asked. She concluded that Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, quote, has more than enough money to make these sites safe for his employees and customers. So let's be clear. She was on the record complaining to Amazon in Virginia, in Seattle, and for some reason, they threw her into testing coworkers, COVID nasal swabs. No, I mean, when I've been tested with, at testing sites, I mean, they look like they're one step short of a hazmat suit. N95, full gown, barriers. She didn't have any of that. And so I want to move forward. Again, we don't know if she passed of COVID. They wouldn't they wouldn't help you with an autopsy. The only thing they would give you was 2 months of therapy for Peshawn's now 13-year-old daughter.
I'll stop you, Julian. It was at Jordan. It was 6 weeks because 2 months is 8 is 6 weeks. So it was 6 weeks. I want to make that clear. They offered 6 weeks of counseling for me, my mom, and her daughter. 6 weeks of counseling, which it was supposed to start in February and end April the 2nd. So I just wanted to, 2 months. That's, it was 6 weeks.
Unreal. So the thing that really, I want to take people inside kind of the journalistic process, because if it, smells like if it quacks like a duck, when I reached out to Amazon, listen, if I was misinformed or Christina was misinformed or other people at the warehouse were misinformed, Amazon could have said and shown evidence that no, she wasn't in there doing this testing. They could have very easily said, oh yeah, she was involved like in the testing or screening, but she wasn't actually administering COVID nasal swabs. If the truth was on their side, I mean, they could have very easily. I don't know if we lost you, Christina.
I'm still here. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, the screen went black. Colin, if you could try and fix that. So I don't know if, generally, if she wasn't doing all these things, you would think a company would very quickly come out and say that. But what Amazon did, which I've experienced before, when companies don't want any legal liability, they won't put anything out on the record. When companies don't want any legal liability, they often won't even talk to you on background, which in journalism means, you could use what I'm telling you, but you can't say who it's from. So basically, if it was an Amazon spokesperson, you could say, a person close to Amazon, which is vague. They would only talk to me off the record, which I, of course, told them to go screw themselves. And I'm sure they're watching, so screw yourself. So to me, that was immediately a major red flag, because why would you be worried about legal liability if you weren't doing anything that was wrong? The fact that when I said, I'll talk later on, I said, I'll talk to you on background, but I want evidence of what you're telling me. I mean, it's not just Christina who was telling me this. There was other workers at the warehouse who were backing up what Peshawn was doing. And instead of actually responding or giving anything on the record, I know for a fact, at least a CNBC reporter reached out to them because the original tweet that I put out about your sister did pretty well. I think it got like 8,000 retweets. And as a result, a CNBC reporter reached out to Amazon. Amazon basically told that reporter that this wasn't true, blah, 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 blah. And then the reporter backed down. I don't know how many other reporters reached out to Amazon and the same thing happened. And that's why journalism is in a crisis, because you have reporters that just take the word of corporations who have a track record of human rights violations. So bottom line, they squashed this story from the beginning. They wouldn't give me an answer. And then they basically steered any journalist that would ask questions about it off. So you have now 9 months after your sister's death, other than us, I think the World Socialist website did a piece. Nobody has covered this, despite Amazon providing nothing to knock it down, which to me is a secondary scandal.
You know what, Jordan? I think I was speaking to another reporter in Texas over this week, and I was sent that by the what is it, MSC reporter? What is Palmer, right?
CNBC.
CNBC. That's Palmer, right? That's Annie Palmer.
Anna Palmer,
yeah. Yeah. You know what? I had a little tit with her, and then she called me to apologize. But what she didn't do is she did not, when she received the documentation, the videos and the pictures, she did not go on there and retract and post that. But I was sent something of her posting that Amazon was paying for their employees to go to college. And I thought that was, I felt some type of way about her posting that. And I gotta understand everybody has a job they have to do, believe you me, I understand that. But that was crazy to me how she posted that. And when she got the proof and when she got the videos and the pictures of the employees testing, she didn't go back on there and post that. She didn't say anything about it.
Which is, why do you think, I mean, I know I have my opinions, but to you, why do you think it is that the media?
When she spoke to me on the phone, she sounded very very heartbroken. She made it seem to sound very heartbroken and to show remorse. But then when she got the information that she needed, she never went back on there and ever said anything. And I just know that she can never, ever, ever, because this is not going to be the first story. This is actually the first story that somebody that a employee that worked in the COVID section department has died. I follow the stories people send me. I have reporters and journalists in different states, and they send me. This is the only story that I know about that an employee was COVID testing at Amazon that has died. I haven't gotten anything else. And if there is, you guys feel free to send it to me. But what I felt some type of way, she could never ever call my phone. She could never say anything to me. I never ever want her to mention my name or my sister's name out of her mouth, because she's I'll keep my opinions to myself, because I understand a woman has a job she has to do. But when she got the information and she saw it with her own eyes, and she saw the videos and the pictures, for her not to go back on there or to say, this is true, she listened to them, or I guess they called and told her, no, we don't have the employees testing anymore. But when the employees were testing, my sister was doing it. There's no reason to lie. No one has a reason to lie. And I know I can't take Amazon down. I'm not. It's just me. You can't take Amazon down. The company is too powerful. It's going to take a lot to take that, and nobody's not trying to do that. But what I'm trying to do is I'm putting the truth out there, and I'm not going to have anybody lie or manipulate the story at all with my sister. I'm not going to have that, especially when I used to work there too, and I know what I saw. I just don't know why she didn't do it. I guess she didn't. I'm just going to say she didn't care. I'm just going to say, or maybe I'm just going to say she didn't care. I'm just going to say she didn't care. But I know she could never call my phone. I know I better not ever hear or see her about her doing a story about my sister. No, not after you lie like that. No, ma'am. We don't play those games over here. Not at all. You know, it was hurtful. It was very hurtful to see that when I know of at least 7 employees had sent her, and because they sent me and I sent it to her, and she didn't go back on there and say, you know what, I did see. She didn't say anything. It was hurtful. But I guess that's the game. I don't know. You know, I'm not in the journalist or the reporter life.
Well,
I'm definitely not.
You could be diplomatic. I don't have to be. Anna should be ashamed of herself that it's not just Anna. The New York Times, for example, did a entire piece on Amazon. I know they spoke of Christian Smalls, who was the Amazon worker fired in the beginning of the pandemic for blowing the whistle. I know they spoke with a lot of people. And I know for a fact, those people told the New York Times about what happened to your sister. For some reason, the New York Times wouldn't cover it. And by the way, in that story, this big deep dive of the New York Times, frankly, they twisted themselves into pretzels, to be fair to Amazon, because in journalism, we have to tell both sides, even if the other side
that's what I thought.
Even if the other side is completely lying. So basically, this long investigative deep dive piece about Amazon that the New York Times did, better than nothing. They basically made it seem like, here's all the workers and the terrible things Amazon's doing to the workers, but here's some nice things that we're going to regurgitate that the company told us. And the New York Times knew about what happened with Peshawn. I know the Washington Post knows about it. I know that the CNBC reporter knows about it. So if you're going to call listen, I worked at MSNBC. I also worked for a dark time at Fox News in my life. I got into it with producers, with executive producers who, when I wanted to do a story and they shut it down, and you know what I fucking did? I left. Not right away, but I eventually left because I'm in this to basically, I can't bring back your sister, unfortunately, but I at least I'm in this to tell these stories, to try and get whatever justice, even if it's just the truth out there. And these reporters who are helping to bury these stories, this should be on the front page of every newspaper. Amazon should have to explain. Amazon should have to explain, why did you have a 38-year-old, let's say it, Black woman testing workers for COVID? Why would you not provide the family with resources for an autopsy? Why, after her death, we haven't even gotten into the fact that they dragged her daughter on the phone with them to give them information that you could have given them. I mean, the list goes on. It's a major scandal. And it's almost like it's a magic trick that it didn't happen because the media is burying it and you're left. And I've seen your pain. You know, I've seen you come up for these union rallies. You know, Amazon's trying to unionize. It's not that you're against the union, but that's not the first thing on somebody's mind who has had their sister taken away from them.
Yeah. And I tell them every time I go to a rally, and I tell the people, you know, I'll be supportive. And when they call, I think it was a story that happened about someone had gotten hurt at Amazon in Texas, and I don't know her name, and I wish I would have did my better research so I could figure out her name. She had got hurt, and they didn't pay her anything, and she was unable to work and got evicted. And my heart went out. I'm not downgrading anybody's other stuff that happened, because I know it's horrible. And when they came to me at the last rally, and I told them, the union, I'm definitely all here for, but I got a bigger fight ahead of me. The fight is that I lost my sister. There was an injustice that was done. And I had a reporter ask me if my sister was white, do I think this would have happened? And I said, I really don't know. I really honestly don't know, because I think the woman in Texas that got hurt, and she lost her place and got evicted, she was white. And I worked with the woman in Amazon and broke her back, and she was unable to work. and she was white. So I don't know. I don't know, but I know this. I know that the nurses and the doctors that worked at the hospitals that died. I know when you're a nurse and a doctor, you're gonna, you know what you're signing up for. You know, and I know some people, you know what you're signing up for. When you're police, you're gonna have to write tickets. You may get shot. You're gonna pull somebody over. But those are things that you signed up for. That you put yourself. You did it. You wanted to be a police officer. You wanted to be a nurse. You wanted to save lives. You know, all of these things. And I'm not judging anybody. But I think when those people were at the hospital, and those nurses and doctors, they lost their lives. I think their families got something. I think their families were not treated like garbage. I think that they were praised, that they had, and they had a person who was a hero who put their lives in danger to assist other people, right? Because I mean, I remember watching CNN. I was in the break room in Amazon watching CNN, and they were running the doctors and the nurses that had died were putting their lives up in danger for people. And I'm just saying, I just wanted to know what the difference was. Is because they were nurses and doctors, and they knew that at some point in life that they work in a hospital. So these are things that's going to happen. That, I mean, it's just normal for it to happen, right? I mean, if somebody's coming in and they're shot, you're going to get blood on you. That's why you double up, these things. But someone working at Amazon, Walmart, or even Pizza Hut, and you're made the COVID test. I mean, that's definitely not in your job description. I'm just confused. I'm just confused. I know they were praised, and I know that their families were praised, that they had somebody, individual, do that. But I just see the things, and I hear the stuff about my sister, and I'm like, well, why is nobody not even talking about it? Why is nobody not even asking Jeff Bezos, what the fuck were you thinking? Excuse my language. What the fuck were you thinking, man? What were you thinking? You were thinking about going to the moon. That's right. You're thinking about going to the moon that you couldn't even pay. Not even if you didn't even want to do a registered nurse to come in and set up a COVID, a 24-hour relief. Like you could have, like, why? But I mean, I don't know. And I say shame on all of those reporters and journalists, because I do know that the Washington Post, because we're right here, I do know that they know about what happened to my sister, and it hurted me that they didn't even do a story on it. It hurted me. Because nobody's not going to take down Amazon. They can't be taken down. Nobody's not going to. Let's just say what happened. If it was, I mean, I don't understand it. I don't understand. I don't understand.
And to me, one of the things here is, the media. Not only will they not cover this, Colin, if you could pull this up from Bloomberg. I mean, the nauseating public relations over and over that we see for the media. Now there's a news story out of Bloomberg. Amazon's new factory towns will lift the working class. I'm not going to bother reading it. Essentially, Bloomberg and others are saying, hey, you know how the country's basically half poor and starving? Well, Amazon is building factories all over the country, right next to highways, and, where you're leaving urban areas and leaving cities. Amazon's building new factories, and it's going to give citizens who have lost their jobs or, are working 3 jobs, the chance at stable employment, and towns and whole economies in the local areas will be built around Amazon. Well, why don't you go ask the people that work at Amazon how they treat the working class, since that Bloomberg article said we'll lift the working class? Why don't you go interview the people who are being carted out of Amazon on stretchers because of the heat? Why, Colin, I sent you this also. Let's put up the tweet from Christian Smalls, who is outside the Staten Island warehouse all the time. He's out there every day at the tent where the workers are trying to unionize. He put out a tweet, Colin, if I sent it to you, if you have it, where he's showing, again, it's just a routine now of ambulances coming to Amazon. If you don't have it, I can resend it to you, Colin. Hold on. Did I send it? Let me resend it. Hold on. I mean, it's important to see this because this is happening routinely at Amazon. I frankly know of scenarios I can't even report because the people that it happened to, are too afraid to go on the record, and I have to respect that. But all these outlets, they seem to just be seduced by all these commercials and the fact that, oh, Amazon technically is employing a lot of people, but do they go interview the homeless people that are working at Amazon who don't make enough to actually buy a rented apartment? They're not interviewing the people at Amazon who they can't even pay their medical bills anymore because of their back injuries from Amazon, their other worker-related injuries that Amazon won't cover. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but the bottom line is they basically have whitewashed your sister. They did not protect her. And now they're trying to spin themselves into some, savior of the working class, while at the very same time, they're basically exploiting, let's just say, poor, mostly Black and brown workers.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those commercials. I've seen them come right out, like right around. I mean, I don't know if it had anything to do. My sister's stuff had anything to do with it, but I've seen a lot of the commercials come out like between like March 2020, between March 2021 this year. I've seen a lot of commercials come out, and still now. But like I told Miss Palmer, and I told some other reporters that called me, and it's like, I just can't believe this. How about you do this? Your job is a part about investigation, and you want to get down to the story. Go work for Amazon. Just go. They'll hire you. They'll hire anyone. Like they will hire anyone. Go work for Amazon. Just do. I'm not even going to tell you to do a week because you probably won't even make it a week. I can assure you, you won't make it a week. I can assure you won't make it a week. Go work for them. Go work for them. Go work for them for 3 days. 3 days. There's 7 days in a week. Go work for them for 4 days, and you'll see. You'll see for yourself. You'll see for yourself, because I can assure you, there's people that's on those commercials. They're not. I'm gonna say paid actors alleged. They're not. No. And I mean, like I said, you can go to any warehouse. You can go to any warehouse, stand out there, whatever, like that. And if you don't want to stand out there, go to away from the warehouse and catch them when they're coming out, and they'll tell you. I mean, they'll tell you. So that's what I was told. A couple of them, whether they did or not. If you really want to get a story, you really want to know. You really want to make sure that people aren't trying to bring down Amazon and Jeff Bezos because they're just money hungry or whatever. But I can assure you, I can assure you that just one of me, there's 1,000 of me that I don't even know, that I've never even met or spoke to, that have messaged me and like, oh, this what happened. I believe them. Why do I have to lie for it? Now, it's too much information. It's too much. It's too many people in all different states saying the same thing. My sister is the first person who was a COVID tester who died at Amazon. But she's not the first person who died at Amazon. And my heart goes out to all of those people, family members who have worked at Amazon, who have died. I know a couple people who had died in a warehouse that we worked at, and they didn't get anything. Like, they didn't get nothing. And they didn't want you to talk about it because I know they shut it down. They told employees, stop talking about my sister. Don't talk about it. We can't have you talking about that in here. They were quick to tell you what to talk about and what not to talk about. So, my heart goes out to them. But
do you? I want to ask you. Today would have been her birthday, so it goes without saying what a difficult day it is for you. But how is the rest of your family? Because I think when these things happen, it's also, in addition to the insult of the media pretending it's not happening, she had a 13-year-old daughter. Your mother has health problems and is paralyzed, I believe, from the waist down. How is the rest of the family doing?
Not good. Not good at all. Not good at all. My sister was my kid's godmom. She was everything to us. I told you earlier this week, it's been rough. This is just, the next thing before this was Mother's Day, first Mother's Day without her, and her birthday today. Then, we'll have the holidays. She was big on birthdays, so big on birthdays. I remember last year we had a birthday party at my house, and I got candles, and I thought that they were candles, but they were actually like those firework things. And we set the whole hold alarms off. You know, I was I never met every birthday we were together. We were together every birthday from what I can remember. Besides, you know, even when we were young. Um, yeah, it's hurtful because I can tell you right now, and it's almost 5 o'clock. Um, we would have been. I actually would have been on my way to her house. We probably would have got there like around maybe 6, and we would have went to we would have went out to dinner, and I would have got a red velvet cake because she loved red velvet cake, either chocolate cake or red velvet cake. But we would have got a red velvet cake, and I would have got her balloons of flowers like I did this morning, and we would have just been getting ready to cut a cake in the next couple of hours. So it's it's a it's a very emotional day. It's a very emotional day. Um, it's just really sad. I can't express or describe to you how I feel. I didn't think that I didn't think that I was going to be able to to do the interview today. I had got physically sick like about an hour ago, and you know, I just miss my sister. I miss my sister, and I hurt for my mom. You know, I'm worried about my mom. It's up and down. It's up and down. You know, it's up and down. You know, the kids, they, you know, crying. You can't stop them from crying. You can't even, you know, it's out whatever they feel. I want them to feel. It hurts. It really hurts because, you know, Jordan. Another thing, and I tell people this, and I tell, you know, reporters, and I remember I spoke to one reporter last week, and he was like, Do you really want me to put that? Do you want me to say that?" And I said, "Yeah, I want you to say it. I want you to say it. Don't put something that you know, whatever I tell you, definitely put." My sister loved Amazon. She loved working for that company. She loved working for that company. She loved that company. She loved that company. She loved them. She loved working for Amazon. She loved it. It was her morning, noon, and night. She was scared when the COVID happened. You know, me and my sister was two different people. She was scared. Even when we started off drivers, she loved working for that company. And I don't know if Jeff Bezos understand or if he even knows my sister, but she loved working for that company. We got into arguments about her going to work around COVID time. We got into arguments, and I expressed her, and I told her that if something happens and you come home and mommy gets sick, you know that's it. My mom is bedridden. She's been bedridden since 2018. I know it's not. I'm gonna do. And I told her, you need to put extra. You need to put extra gloves on. You need to put extra masks on. You need to do. You know, it's hot. You know, when I start sweating and the thing I couldn't see, I told her she loved that company, and I'm not bashing them. I'm not bashing them. I'm not here to say anything bad about them. I'm stating the facts, the things that what I know, the things that I seen, the things that I experienced when I worked there, and these are facts. So nobody can say this is not a lie. These are facts. These are things that I experienced and that I saw when I worked there and what I see her go through. So I don't know if he knows. My sister loved his company. She loved working for that company. We got into the biggest argument in December, and that was the last argument. And I told her, I said, listen to me. I said, this shit is getting serious. And not only is it getting serious, because my mom was sick and we didn't know if she had had COVID, but she never left. So she had pneumonia, and we were waiting to get the tests back. And I told her, I said, if this is it, I said, if you brought home something to mommy, this is it. We got into the biggest fight, and this was a week before Christmas, and she told me, okay. I told her, because my sister loved to bake. She was gonna I would help her open up her own, you know, her own bakery business, because she could bake and cook anything. And she said, okay. She said, okay, Chris, okay. And that was a week before Christmas, and 2 weeks later, my sister died. So that was the last fight. We got into 3 fights during the COVID while she worked there. And I don't know if he knows or any of those executives in Seattle knows. My sister loved Amazon. She loved working for the company. You know, she loved going in there. I can't say being talked to like a dog and treated like, I mean, because you wouldn't even treat an animal or a dog the way that they treat you there. You would go to jail for that. If you don't give your dog water, you even have a dog in a car with no air conditioner, they're breaking a window to get that damn dog out of there. So I can't even say they treated people they treat you like an animal there, because you can't do those things to animals because they will be after your ass. I know Peter will. So to have you working in extreme conditions, if it's 80 degrees or 90 degrees outside, it's 100 degrees in a warehouse with no water. I mean, that's fucking humane. So I can't even say they treated you like an animal there, because if you treat an animal like that, you're going to go to jail. So I don't know, but she loved working for that. To be talked down to, I mean, I got into it with several of them of their employees about them talking crazy to my sister, because my sister was so shy and so timid. She was with it, and she, okay, no, but somebody, oh, your sister, somebody said something to you, so where I would come straight to them. Don't talk to my sister like that, and I would tell her all the time, but she loved that company. She loved it,
Right.
and I wouldn't, if I seen somebody talk crazy to her, oh, you got to do, you got all of us fucked up. Oh, is that just damn right it is. Don't speak to her that way. I don't give a fuck about $15 an hour. Don't speak to her that way. We can go outside, we can do whatever, but my sister was not like me. My sister was completely different. She was completely different. And I was talking to my mom the other day, and my mom was saying to me, she was like, I just wish, and the way my sister was, the way she was the sweetest thing. She would not say no, and that's her problem. I told you that a long time ago. She would not say no. I would say no in a heartbeat. You got me automatically fucked up. If you think that I'm gonna come in here and do this and then I gotta go to another job, no, sir, not today. Nope. Clock me. I'm okay with it. I will go. As a matter of fact, I don't have to come back. But my sister wasn't like that. Me and my sister were two different people. And I wish, my sister was the way she was, and that's what made her the way she was, and that's what made her lovable. But I wish she said no. Not sometimes, a lot. I wish she said no. I wish she didn't stand for and go for a lot of things. Cause
Right.
But she loved that she loved that company. And that's why I said, I wonder, does he even know? Does he even know what happened to my sister? Does he even know her name? Like, she loved that company. You treat an employee, especially an employee, let alone a family, somebody who worked for a company for 4.5 years like that.
Right.
And you know it's wrong. And it's like, when you hear stories, like, if you hear something like that happening anywhere else, like, it's crazy. If you worked at a car company and you want to go test drive a car, and it's one of the employees at Ford or Toyota, you know it's a lawsuit.
Right.
Toyota's gonna have to pay for this shit, right? Ford's gonna have to. I mean, this is Amazon. I mean, you know what you did is wrong. You know what you did was wrong. You know that it was against the law. It was illegal. Why would you have employees in there testing other employees, and they didn't even know what the hell they were doing?
We should also
Why
add,
did
by
you
the
do
way, we should also add behind the scenes, it's a lot of spineless lawyers, because you've spoken with some, and they don't want to go up against Amazon. So, Christina, I want to.
It's some lawyers that's they're with the shits. They already know. They before I heard they contact me. I've heard this is the case. This is what you need to do. This is what you got to do. This is what's what. I mean, there is some lawyers with it, and there's some lawyers it's like, you know what, that man he's allegedly, I have to say, he's the devil. He's not even. I'm trying to tell you, they're gonna but it's nothing that they can say or do. I'm not scared by any means. I'm not scared by any means, because I know the truth and I know the facts. And the facts is this, is that. Not only did you have my sister, you had other employees in there, COVID testing people that were not trained, that were not nurses or doctors licensed or certified, and they had no business doing that.
Right.
And you're wrong for that, and you know that you have broken the law. And I mean, it's lawyers that are with it. It's lawyers that are with it, and thank God for them. And I appreciate everything that they've done and that they are doing for us. But the media, it's hurtful and painful that they pick and choose the stories that they want to post, that they want to publish.
Right. You didn't ask me to do this, but I'm going to do it myself. Obviously nothing's going to bring back Peshawn, but Christina is now the sole caretaker of Peshawn's 13-year-old daughter. So obviously, if you have children, that's not cheap. on top of, expenses for her other children. Fortunately, 1,300 people so far have donated to the GoFundMe you created for the family, basically. Your mother also has medical needs, like I just said. Gabby, Peshawn's daughter. If at some point there's a legal action. So obviously, if you don't have the means, no problem. But if you do, please try to chip into Christina's GoFundMe for her sister, for the family. I'm really happy to see that you've raised a really good chunk of money so far, almost $44,000. We'd love to see more in there. It's not going to make a difference today or other days as far as the whole major hole left in your life, but at the very least, if it could make things a little easier financially, I hope people can try to find a way to do that if it's within your means. And we'll stay in touch because I'm kind of a stubborn person myself. Sometimes it feels, like we're just tossing the truth into a cave and it's never gonna see the light of day, but we have to keep trying. So anything else you want to say, Christina?
I want to thank everybody that has reached out to us and they sent their condolences for my sister. I want to thank everybody who has called or messaged concerning my sister. I want to thank them, and I want to send all the condolences to all the family members that have had someone that worked at Amazon or not prime fresh flex drivers that have passed away. It have anything due to the COVID or just the stream, just in general to Amazon. And my hearts are with you. And I just want to thank everybody for everything that they've done and that they're doing and that they can do for us. It really means a lot. And I want to thank Chris Miles again and all the lawyers and attorneys that always email me and reach out to me. I want to thank everybody and thank you to Jordan and happy early birthday to you.
I'm very glad that at the very least I never met your sister, but our birthdays are a couple days from each other. So that I'm glad that she was a Virgo like me. Thank you, Christina. I'm sorry that today is so terrible and you're going through this, but hopefully there will be a silver lining somewhere down the road and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Everybody be safe. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That was Christina Brown, sister of Peshawn Brown. I got to tell you something. And by the way, we're waiting on another guest. It's going to be a kind of a segue. Ready when he is. I got to tell you something. Sometimes, I struggle with depression anyway. Fortunately, it's been under control recently with medication. But I got to tell you, just from my point of view, it's depressing because pretty consistently we're breaking stories here. It's not always about someone like Peshawn, but we're breaking significant stories here, and they're not really seeing the light of day. And you start to wonder, am I doing something wrong? And then you realize, no, we're not doing anything wrong. We are breaking corrupt, inhumane, scandalous things. But because we live in a corrupt, inhumane, and scandalous system where government has been purchased by corporations, media has been purchased by corporations, those things are being buried. I think we all have a choice. If you are just an activist or political person, you can look at what's going on and, declare everything hopeless and declare it all, for nothing. And I'm done with electoral politics and to hell with everybody. And everyone's a sellout and everyone's a fraud and yada, yada, yada. There's times I feel like doing that. I just say, and why am I doing this? If it's not, the people I'm covering are appreciating it and the communities we cover appreciate it. But if we're not getting direct change and accountability, what are we doing? But then I just break it down very simply to say, if I don't do it or Jen doesn't do it, who is going to do it? I mean, I legitimately ask that, because I mean, what you see is what you get. As far as the left these days, media is concerned, there's no real reporting. I mean, here and there. I think David Sirota and his crew do good work, specifically on money and politics. Abby Martin does great work. There's a couple places. Kim Kelly has done great work, a labor reporter. But there's very few outlets actually leading with things like this. Most outlets are basically leading with battle royales between personalities and shows and calling everyone a fraud and, manipulating people and radicalizing people to follow them to a slow death march to nowhere. But I don't know. Sometimes you just go on and you keep covering these things because, again, if you don't, who else is going to? Who else is going to cover the Peshawn Browns of the world? Hold on. But it is depressing. Obviously, I'm not by any means feeling what Christina's feeling today, and Gabby, Peshawn's daughter, is feeling today. But it is depressing when you are shining a light and revealing really, borderline criminal things. But frankly, the criminals are burying it. So all we can do is just keep on keeping on, keep on fighting for the truth. We're going to win some, we're going to lose some, but I think it's really important to highlight and keep in the news that would have been 39-year-old woman, Black woman, seemingly died for no reason. We don't know if she died of COVID. Should have mentioned during that interview, she didn't have any major health. She didn't have any pre-existing problems. So it's frustrating, but like we're going to talk about with the next guest, we got to keep fighting. Because the oligarchy, the plutocrats, the Amazons basically want you in fetal position. They want you to conclude, they're too big. It's hopeless. You can't fight. You can't beat them. You can't, even if you expose the truth, they're going to get away with it. And they do that so that nobody will challenge them. Well, we are going to challenge them and continue to challenge them. Segue to, something more, hopefully a little more hopeful.
Hang on. We can't hear you. We're
can you hear
trying to
me?
get fixed.
Okay, no problem. I'll be right back.
How's it going?
I'll bring you back. Oh, you can hear me now. You hear me?
Having some audio trouble here.
You're kind of going in and out. I don't know if it's your Wi-Fi. One, two, 1, 2. It's wonderful that we're not 60 minutes. All right. While they're fixing it. Let me read your comments, questions, concerns. Even if diagnosed, Amazon would probably have given employees free ivermectin sandwiches anyway. It's funny. Aggravated. I've had COVID. Thought for sure I was going to die. Silence is violence. How's her mom doing? From what Christina told me, not so good. Obviously, as a parent, losing your child is the worst thing. Her mom is housebound, paralyzed from the waist down. So obviously her life is kind of, in what she can do is kind of limited. So unfortunately, she's not doing great. Thank you. Lala says, Peshawn, I can't bring you back, but Christina and Gabby, I will go fund. And yeah, I just think it's the only thing we can really do at this point, but support them if you can. Let's see if it's working now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Awesome. So kind of a segue. We were just covering, you probably don't know about it, a Amazon worker who died earlier this year because Amazon literally had her COVID testing coworkers. And then after the fact, wouldn't even confirm that that's what was going on. We don't know if she died from COVID because Amazon wouldn't help the family with an autopsy. They're not directly linked, but you are one of the coal miners who has been striking for months down there, and you're dealing with a company that has exploited you, has, it seems, lied to you.
That's correct.
Has run you over, run strikers over. And this is one of the longest strikes going on right now in America. So I wanted to keep it in the spotlight. Warrior Met strikers, you came up to New York City a couple, like 2 months ago. It was huge.
Yes.
I think it was like 600, 700 people right in front of BlackRock. First off, how are you guys doing? Because I know it's tough to be on a strike, losing your income for, I think at this point, 5 or 6 months.
It is. It's been tough. I just recently started work at Amazon, so they have one more yes vote.
I'm sure they'll be thrilled you coming on this live stream. Well, I mean, honestly, what choice do you have? You're striking, so you need to make income somehow.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, go ahead.
It's been difficult, and just the lack of respect this company has showed us altogether is it's tremendous. I mean, like I said, we've had 5 recorded incidences of them, either a boss or a scab running over picketers. Even a picketer's wife, they hit her standing on the picket line. It's ridiculous, and the cops don't want to seem to do anything about it. They compare hitting someone with a vehicle to being the same as a flat tire.
Jesus. Can you talk about why, if people don't know the story, what precipitated the strike? What was going on that you guys finally said enough?
In 2016, Jim Walter Resources went bankrupt, and Warrior Met Coal took over, which I think was actually Coal Acquisitions LLC, some hedge fund company. But they took about a $6 an hour pay cut. The insurance went from 100% insurance to an 80-20 insurance. We lost all of our holidays except 3. We lost our double time on Sundays. We lost our guaranteed 7th day off. We lost so much in that last contract, and we were promised to get it back if the company, we kept the company profitable on the next contract. And then when this contract come up, they offered us even less. They wanted to take even more concessions. So no, it was just time to stand up and do something about it.
And the parent company is BlackRock, is that correct?
BlackRock is one of our largest investors. I'm not sure what percentage, they hold. I think it's like 33% of the stock.
Right. And essentially, I mean, you guys haven't been asking for the moon or the stars, but basically to get back what you gave up years ago.
That's correct. We just want some of what we give up back. I mean, maybe we can't get all of it back now, but at least part of it, at least something. And the respect. I mean, this company has been so disrespectful to its employees. Like, we just don't matter. They want a turnaround workforce, someone they don't have to pay benefits for. It's strange that they can treat their number one assets. Well, they call us their number one assets and then tell us that we don't deserve what we're making now. It's pitiful.
Right. And what's the update with the negotiations? Have they budged at all? Are they basically just trying to sniff you out to see how long you'll go?
They budge some, but they want to keep in a clause to where they can fire anyone that they feel like participated in any, I'm not going to say violence, but they want to pick and choose who they hire back, and they want to give the scabs seniority over us. And it don't matter what else they offer, just those 2 clauses there, we can't accept that. That's just unacceptable.
So basically they want to retaliate by firing most of you.
Yeah. So anyone that they send a "you've been bad" package, they don't want to hire us back. And which
Right.
by that's the ones that violated the 10-person picket line injunction. So it's not like it's, we went in and tore the place down. We just had more than 10 people on a picket line. So they sent us all letters from their lawyers saying that we violated an injunction.
Right. And can you kind of talk about, all of this is happening, Biden, the media, they've kind of pushed out this message that, the economy's coming back, jobs are coming back, unemployment was going down, things are getting back to normal. Obviously, that's kind of BS. I mean, COVID is out of control, but economically, they were presenting the fact that everything's coming back to normal. But I mean, just in the case of you guys and frankly, workers like you all around the country, normal seems to be benefits cut, pay cut, being treated like robots. And basically, if you are striking, threatening, intimidating, and direct violence.
Yes. The government and the news want to portray the economical growth for just the corporations and the businesses, not for the working class.
Right. And let me ask you guys, because, for 10 to 20 years, there was really no strikes in America, very few worker actions. Labor was kind of in hibernation. And now things are popping up pretty much like on a daily basis, some big, some small. But are you guys getting energy and continued motivation seeing the Frito-Lay workers, the Nabisco workers? Now there's workers in the San Francisco baseball stadium, the concession workers striking. There's nurses. I think there's nurses striking in Alabama, actually, but there's nurses striking in Massachusetts. Nurses might just authorized might strike in Buffalo. You have the Starbucks workers are trying to unionize now in Buffalo. We know the Amazon workers tried in Bessemer, but they're also trying in New York. I mean, for workers that were kind of hibernated for a long time, it's kind of spreading like wildfire now. Some will win, some won't. But how does that feed into, does that guys give you energy?
It really does. And the letters of solidarity from all over the country and all over the world, it's like everybody's watching us to see what happens with us, because they know that the companies will do the same thing to them if we allow them to do it to us.
Right. And can you kind of talk about, I mean, you're in Alabama, so this is, not exactly a friend of workers kind of state.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't know, in red states like Alabama, I've heard a lot of Republican propaganda for many years that, the job creators, and we got to keep their taxes low, and we got to, deregulate and basically bend over backwards for business and throw in some culture war. Is the government there, the governor, your local elected officials, are they supporting you guys?
No, not at all. I said, we've sent Kay Ivey in several letters, and she says that she did not know that the state troopers were escorting and guarding the mines and escorting the scabs in and out of the mines, that she would look into it. But that's the only thing we've heard out of her. We've had
the governor doesn't know what her state troopers are doing.
Yeah, exactly. But she was at their large ribbon cutting ceremony several years ago, where they were opening a new mine, which it wasn't really creating new jobs. It was just moving jobs from one location to the other. And the state thought that was the best thing they'd ever seen. And so they have her support, and they have several local mayors' support. They don't seem to be interested in us.
Gotcha. And, to me, with my previous guest, I don't know, the media is like pushing these narratives like Amazon's new factory towns will lift the working class, basically talking about how Amazon's building factories everywhere, particularly, in communities that have lost a lot of jobs. If you're leaving metropolitan areas and going into the suburbs or rural area, Amazon can create economic activity. And to a lesser extent, we've heard, companies like these coal companies have basically, provided for the communities and stuff like this. But I think that narrative is starting to get popped, because technically they might have provided a job, but how far are these jobs taking you anymore? As you're on the hook for more of the health care. Prices are going up all over the place. People are losing their homes from evictions, mortgages because of the pandemic. And frankly, these companies, there is no government regulation over them to make them pay you a certain amount, make them stick to a certain amount of benefits. So I think it's kind of, to me, becoming like an economic Hunger Games.
And it is. I said, my salary at Amazon, if I don't work any overtime, is $29,000 a year.
Wow.
And that's still poverty wage. I mean, what can you do on $29,000 a year? I mean, I know that's better than some of the jobs in the area, but it's not enough to survive on.
And you have children?
Yes, I have 2 small children, house payment, everything the normal American has, and just trying to struggle to make ends meet. And it seems like all the big companies and the jobs are out to get the small guy,
Right. And to you and your folks that are striking, the media really hasn't covered this, aside from a couple outlets here and there. You don't really see CNN covering these strikes. New York Times, Washington Post, maybe there's been an article. They will cover, they're continuing to cover Trump and trying to keep his name in the news. They're covering the COVID, which is understandable. Kind of the day-to-day back and forth between Democrats and Republicans in DC. But I don't know. It seems kind of newsworthy to me, Braxton, that you've had this strike for 5-6 months. You got other strikes popping up. What does it say to you that the media can't be bothered to cover this?
So we had a reporter for one of the local news stations for Fox 6 News here out of Birmingham, and she covered a little bit of our strike at the beginning. And then she messaged us back and said that our producers won't let us cover anything until there's, say, another tentative agreement or something, agreement that they really wasn't interested unless something else happened. So
they're not interested in talking to workers. They're not interested in the day-to-day things happening in terms of cars running you over. They're not interested in hearing your personal stories. They're just interested in you sending them in the mail when there's a new contract.
That's correct. It was, and that come from one of their reporters, that was, and she said she wanted to cover and do more, but she just wasn't allowed to.
Unreal. And by the way, that kind of stuff happens all over the country.
Oh, yes.
Some reporters might actually be good and want to cover certain things, and they're getting squashed by producers.
If it wasn't for, say Kim Kelly and the Left Voice, Mario's covered a good bit for us, but Kim Kelly has been on top of it since day one.
Right.
If it wasn't for her, there'd be a lot of people that wouldn't even know about our strike.
Yeah, absolutely. She's done great work. So where do things go from here? Is your colleagues that are striking? How's morale? And what are there
comes and goes. Some days it'll be kind of low, and we'll have a lot of show of solidarity from other places, and other union leaders will come in and speak. And the morale will seem to go right back up. We know it's a fight that we have to continue.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, updating me. I'm going to stay on it, keep in touch with you guys, not just when there's a contract offer, but knowing what's going on every day. Because frankly, I think a lot of people, I don't know what you are politically, it doesn't really matter, but a lot of people who are consider themselves progressive are really just hopeless at this point. They've let their anger and their cynicism. And, we thought we were going to get change with Bernie or whomever. And now we kind of feel like we're without a leader. And I've kept on saying, well, look at what's going on in Alabama. Look at what's going on all over these places. Yeah, it would be great to have a leader. But right now, for the first time in maybe 20 years, workers are fighting back in this country. And that is extremely positive step. And people should be jumping on the bandwagon, I think.
Yeah, that's correct. It's like, the leaders want to promise this and promise that. When it comes time to step up, you don't hear anything from them. they hide from you when you try to message them or contact you, or it's kind of disheartening that our government, they promise us everything and want to do this and say they'll do this, but when it comes time to it, all they're after is their self.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. We'll stay on it. We're trying to actually get out there and cover some of these strikes. So maybe I'll make my way down there at some point. But keep in touch. Let us know what's going on. And we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you covering the story.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right, man. Bye.
So that was Braxton. He's one of the coal miners who has been striking down there at Warrior Met in Alabama. Frankly, I mean, the company that the coal miners have put in there for security might as well be the Pinkertons, if you know your history. They have run over several workers that were striking, and a lot of intimidation tactics, a lot of threats to people's families. This is no joke what's going on down there. So definitely keep it in mind. By the way, I want to say shout out new Status Coup member Elena, new Status Coup member Stephen, new Status Coup member. The name's not showing up, but it shows a new member. So we've gotten 3 new members today. We're at 1,830. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it real. I mean, you see the numbers. Right now we're in one of those. It just seems like it's kind of like alternating every 2 months. Things start normalizing, and views are better, and subscriber growth goes up, and then it's like somebody pulls a lever at YouTube, and boom, everything goes plummeting back down. So obviously the views aren't terrific. We have lost quite a bit of members. So I'll be honest. Also, I think some of the members we have lost, some of the viewers we have lost, frankly, are people that want to go watch people that agree with them 100% of the time. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Jen and I have been very open and forceful in calling out what we think is growing nihilism on the left. And when we've called it out, I think respectfully, people have complained, you're punching down, stop attacking the working class, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, I didn't get into this for numbers. I didn't get into this for clicks. If we lose subscribers, as long as we have our integrity left, we probably would have lost those people at some point anyway. Because the truth is, I don't view the world and politics or other things, and I don't think you should either, in terms of sellouts and frauds and this or that. I think that's basically ways for YouTube hosts, tweeters, and media personalities to basically prey on your justifiable anger and manipulate you. And instead of giving you a way to weaponize your anger, frustration, and cynicism in an actually productive way, to just basically feed into your anger, feed into your cynicism. And that's making a lot of people, when channels like ours aren't providing that content, aren't, doing 40 videos a week on every squad member who's a sellout, aren't basically offering just like a black and white world and a zero-sum game, it makes them say, all right, bye-bye. And, it's unfortunate, but bye-bye. Because at the end of the day, I've been on the road for 6 years. It doesn't make me better than people who haven't, but it gives me a different perspective. And I will tell you directly, with 100%, first up close experience, it's a slow death march to nowhere, politically speaking, to just say, fuck it. They're all frauds. They're all sellouts. And I think people take what I'm saying as, stop telling us to love politicians. Stop telling us we can't criticize politicians. Again, I think you're being manipulated into thinking in extreme ways. The truth is, I have no issue if you criticize politicians. criticize politicians. We do all the time. I've criticized Bernie. I've criticized the squad. I just said I think Nina Turner made a bad decision going to TYT. But I also, to me, you're being fooled if you think like the main impediments to progress, Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, are Bernie Sanders or AOC or the squad. Doesn't make any of them perfect. But the fact that that's the majority of content you're getting from the left, you're being misled. Your anger and your rage and your cynicism is being manipulated, and it's being preyed on for clicks. You might not agree with me. You might not like it. If you want to unsubscribe, okay. We probably lose you at some point anyway. Now I need to also on my end, because I'm not completely perfect. I need to be clear on what I mean. Because, for example, in the Nina Turner video that Jen and I just debated whether it was a good move, I used the term simpletons. And I think a lot of people, based on the comments, took it as I was calling people that disagree with me simpletons. And that was obviously a bad way of putting it, because that's not what I meant. What I'm talking about in terms of simpletons is not people who are disappointed or frustrated or even done with, Bernie or the squad or whatever. I mean, you're entitled to your opinions and you could support whoever you want. What I mean by simpletons are the people feeding people. So the people with platforms feeding you, and then a lot of people who are then taking it and adopting this mentality of we can just rant and rave our way to change. That if we just filter out all the fake progressives, because that is really the growing mentality on the left these days, that the most important thing is to actually, like, if this is an island, like, get all the fake ones off the island so we could be with the real progressives. But they never really tell you what the strategy is after that. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to stop leading with integrity. And what that means is I'm not going to adjust my beliefs or my opinions for clicks or to keep certain followers or subscribers. And I think that, to me, it's a really bad place, not just like in the progressive movement, but it's a bad thing just for critical thinking in general, when so many people, and it's not just to this channel, so many people, if the channel in front of them isn't feeding them what they want to hear 100% of the time, I'm pulling my membership. I'm unsubscribing. I'm out because you're not speaking my language. You're not calling them sellouts. You're a sellout because you're not calling them sellouts. And it's this endless cycle. And I just got to say, I don't know where the progressive media or the progressive movement steered off the road into this direction that we have to agree on everything. I'm not talking about disagreements with Nancy Pelosi. You want to talk sellouts? Come to me when Nina Turner starts talking about expanding access to healthcare. Then we could get into a discussion about sellouts. But it might not be as clicky. It might not even be as profitable. But I'm just somebody who has critical thinking. I think of things not in a black or white way, but in a nuanced way. I think there's a lot of people on the left right now, not just like big YouTube hosts, but just tweeters and, activists who are becoming like media people who are really manipulating good-hearted people. I think the people that are thinking this way are good-hearted people. I'm sure I interviewed many of them at Bernie rallies. And I think they're being manipulated into thinking that the reason nothing's changing is because these progressive politicians aren't fighting hard enough. And by the way, I think those progressive politicians aren't fighting hard enough. But they get you to focus exclusively on Bernie or AOC or the squad or these things, as if those are the main impediments to success while completely taking your eye off the real people running this country. Bernie Sanders, AOC, listen, I think Bernie ran 2 weak campaigns. I think he's spineless politically. I think he made a lot of mistakes. I think he should have fought Joe Biden from day one. When he said, let's get rid of Trump, fight Biden on day one. I think he made too many, compromises and concessions and hasn't gotten a lot out of it. And I could say all of that while at the same time saying it's absurd to call Bernie Sanders a sellout, a coward, a fraud. This is a man who has been fighting for 40 years. Longer than that. This is a man, there was no progressive movement in this country. Go ask the people celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Occupy Wall Street today. It's the 10-year anniversary. Go ask them about the progressive movement between 2012 and 2015. So the period after Occupy to Bernie. There was no progressive movement. Bernie Sanders reignited the progressive movement. Bernie Sanders literally brought millions of people into the process. You don't have to agree with everything he's doing now. You could think he's not fighting hard enough for you. But that's where I think the divide is. Because people are being manipulated into thinking, well, you have to hate him if he's not doing what you want, 1,000%. The emperor has no cloth if he's not doing exactly what you want or not saying exactly what you want. And this goes for YouTube hosts too, by the way. I mean, for God's sakes, a lot of people started canceling Kyle Kalinske of all people, who I think is about as progressive as they come. And I've even started seeing comments from people online basically saying, I don't know what to tell you, Jordan. I feel no direction. I have no hope. I want to show you one tweet that I think is a good example of this. If I could find it, hold on. And I'm sorry to blow up this person's spot. Colin, let me send it to you. Sorry, folks. Whenever you get it, Colin, show that tweet. Because I think a lot of people on the left are understandably angry. I mean, imagine for a second if you pretty much don't care about politics or you don't know much about politics, and then you come in with some dude talking about a revolution and getting you excited and getting you involved, and then 2 campaign losses, even though, frankly, he should have won and they were rigged. All of a sudden, he's on the inside. And that person who is leading the march is no longer even at the march, in your view. Yeah, pretty easy, I would say, to become angry and cynical and start paying attention to people who are calling that person who was your leader terrible names and a fraud and a coward. Here's the tweet. Somebody wrote, fair point, but a lot of us have been let down by the progressives we voted for, and that frustration is boiling over. I think I wrote back to that person, thank you. Oh, here we go. This, totally understandable. You have a right to be frustrated, angry, cynical. I sure am. An actual journalist's first thought should be skepticism and cynicism. But people cannot allow feeling frustrated, angry to become nihilism, which politically and in life is a road to nowhere. And let me explain what I mean by nihilism, because I think a lot of people might be taking what I'm saying, and again, it's on me to communicate it the way I mean it so people could understand it. So it's not that you're stupid. What I mean by nihilism is basically, there's different forms of nihilism, but nihilism essentially is, why bother? It's all hopeless. It's all fake. It's all rigged. There's nothing we could do. to change anything. So let's just burn it down. And that's exciting. But most successful change in this country, whether it came politically or from movements, were the opposite of nihilism. You think Martin Luther King, you think that the success that Martin Luther King had happened overnight? You don't know that there were many defeats in the civil rights movement long before Martin Luther King Jr.? There was years of organizing that went on before Martin Luther King led those marches. Same thing, LGBTQ, Harvey Milk, Gloria Steinem, and other women, indigenous. These weren't like movements that just popped up at the right moment. There was brick by brick by brick that was built to finally reach a critical mass where it was just a moment that people came together. But there was a lot of work and organizing that came. And I think that a lot of people, not because you're silly or stupid or uninformed. I mean, we were at these rallies. We were at these Bernie rallies or squad things. And we really thought, wow, to get these people in, radical change. We could change this whole system overnight. And the sad reality, and it's not a clicky thing to say, and it won't get me subscribers and it won't get me members, but I'm just going to tell the truth. This corrupt country, this multi-trillion-dollar corporate conglomerate masquerading as a government, it was built brick by brick, pretty much starting in the 1970s. It did not build overnight, and it is a multi-tentacle, multi-onion, multi-layered onion that was never going to be toppled with one president or one set of Congress people. Unfortunately, if Bernie Sanders was president today, people need to realize it wouldn't be a slam dunk to get Medicare for all right away. It'd be a lot closer. But to me, there's two choices, politically or in life. You either give the oligarchy what they want, which is to fight each other. That's what they want. Divide and conquer is oldest trick in the book, oldest time-tested device. The left has been divided and conquered basically for the entirety of whatever is the left, not just in America, globally. You could talk to Marxists, Leninists. You could give the oligarchy what they want, which is to blame each other and divide each other. You could give the oligarchy what they want in terms of just rolling up in fetal position and say it's all for nothing and it's hopeless and everybody's a fraud and a sellout and everybody's terrible. And that's great for clicks because there's plenty of channels that have exploded doing just that. But the truth is, what comes next? Omar, your comment. Jordan, both things could be true. It's all rigged and sellouts are everywhere, but that doesn't mean we give up. Yes and no. Because, tell you the truth, Omar, I don't know who you're considering a sellout. You might think Bernie Sanders is a sellout because, Jimmy has called him a sellout. Many others have called him a sellout over and over and over again. I mean, I've publicly said I disagree with Jimmy. I've told him privately, I don't agree with you. I think it's ridiculous, actually. First of all, Jimmy and many others wouldn't even have a show if not for the Bernie Sanders movement. That's when their show exploded. But putting that aside, you're thinking somebody's a sellout because he's not out front like he was campaigning, publicly fighting. But that person you're calling a sellout, is the reason a $3.5 trillion reconciliation deal is even possible. And think 6 or 7 years ago, if there was a $3.5 trillion bill on the table with universal pre-K, affordable housing, expanding Medicare, free community college, making legal status for undocumented immigrants, actual climate proposals with teeth, the largest modern social spending package in modern history, other than the bailouts for the banks and all the money for corporate criminals. This is the biggest spending package for actual working class people in modern history. And it's not because of Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer. It's because of Bernie Sanders. Is it Medicare for all? No, it's not, because we don't have the White House. We don't, as progressives, even have majorities in Congress. Even Jimmy and other forced to vote leaders were honest that forced to vote would not immediately give you Medicare for all. That wasn't the point. It was to get people on the record so that we could then use it against them in primaries and other ways. But peel back, take a step back. That person is a sellout who is the reason we're even at that number. He demanded $6 trillion. He knew it. We're not going to get $6 trillion, but he demanded $6 trillion, and now it's at 3.5. And as of now, he and other progressives are playing hardball, at least rhetorically. Will they budge? I don't know. They could. It could go down to 3 trillion, possibly. I don't really think they're going to do much lower than that. But this is a person that you've been led to believe is a sellout. The reason you think he's a sellout is he's not verbally out there ranting against Joe Biden and the Democrats. Just like you thought Nina Turner, maybe not you, but a lot of people thought Nina Turner was a sellout because she didn't go to the Medicare for All march, or she, during her campaign, wasn't ranting and raving as she was on the campaign trail. She wasn't the same Nina Turner calling Joe Biden like a bowl of shit. Why wasn't she doing that? Was it because she was a sellout? Or was it because she was trying to get elected in an extremely pro-Biden, pro-Democratic Party district, that if she was ranting against the Democratic Party, if she was ranting against Biden, she would have lost by 30 points instead of 6. And by the way, the bowl of shit comment was one of the main reasons she lost. I was there. There were billboards all over Cleveland with that bowl of shit comment. You couldn't get out of bed without seeing commercials about bowl of shit and other things about Nina Turner being a disloyal Democrat. It's on her campaign. They fucked up too. She's not all perfect. Their ground game wasn't good. I guess they anticipated the establishment attacks, but they didn't have a plan for it. But the point is, and this is not clicky to say, and it might lose me subscribers, it might lose us members, so be it. The world isn't black or white. It's not. There is gray area. There is something called nuance. People could disappoint you or not be doing what you think they should be doing at the moment, but not be all bad, all horrible. Just like if they do what you want, if they do something you're happy about, doesn't mean they might disappoint you in 3 months with something else. That's the truth. It doesn't mean me as a YouTube host or as a journalist won't occasionally have an opinion you don't agree with or take a stance that you vehemently disagree with. But let me ask you a question. Where are we just psychologically? Where are we from an information point of view? If our response to that is simply going to be to shy away, to run away, to say, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home because the people, you're not feeding me what I want to hear 24/7. Do you know historically in terms of the media what type of people have that mindset of feed me, validate my rage, my anger, my fear 100%, and if not, I'm gone? Fox News viewers. Right-wing audiences like Rush Limbaugh. I mean, hell, look at it. Fox wouldn't get on the stop the steal bullshit, and literally their ratings tanked as their viewers went to Newsmax or that other horrendous outlet who were feeding them what they wanted to hear. And then when those outlets stopped feeding them what they want to hear because they got sued, those outlets tanked. It's the same thing you see now where certain channels who are literally doing, 10 to 15 videos or live streams a week about people fighting each other with all caps in the headline, their live viewers go through the roof because people are sucked in to the food fight and the entertainment of it all and the tension. But then if those same channels actually do a video on something substantive, a real story, boo! Because that's not YouTube's business model. YouTube actually elevates conflict. YouTube actually elevates sensationalism and interpersonal fighting. I mean, let me tell you something. I knew today doing a headline, Amazon worker Peshawn Brown would have been 39 today, was going to create a really low viewership. Why? Because most people on YouTube don't even know who Peshawn Brown is for the reasons we discussed with her sister. The media has buried it. It's not a sexy headline. They might see it in passing and just say, what does that mean? I can't fit into a whole headline. A worker who is testing coworkers for COVID suddenly dropped dead. You can't fit that in a headline. Pretty much 9 out of 10 videos or live streams we do, we know we're not going to get a lot of viewers because we're covering substantive things that don't thrive on YouTube. But we do it because what is the point of, if you're in this for journalism, if you're not in this for journalism and you're just in this for the fun of it and to, fight people online and kind of create scandals or like some, what do they call bread tubers, just like kind of cover the food fight. Okay. Doesn't make you a bad person. It's just, that's what you're in it for. But if you're in it to like highlight workers fighting back or communities being poisoned or government corruption or indigenous people fighting pipelines going through their land. Yeah, it's not going to make you a ton of money on YouTube. And we knew that going in. But you know what? Doing it the way we've done it, right now we're at 1,830 members. I'm damn proud of that. We've been going for 3 years. We were almost at 2,000 paid members. We lost a lot of when COVID happened and people lost their jobs and canceled. A lot of those people have come back. Recently, we've lost a lot of members, frankly, because we're just not going to give in to this black or white, all or nothing. Everybody's a fraud and a sellout. And if you don't agree with me, you're a sellout. And those people have left. And to them, I say, not mad at you. Good luck to you. Feel free to watch stuff that validates how you feel 100% of the time. But I'm telling you, it's not going to get you Medicare for all, that kind of message, that kind of strategy, because there's no strategy involved in it. There is no strategy other than this whole like everyone's a sellout, everyone's a fraud. Guess what? Are those people pushing that? Are they starting community groups where they live to create local economic boycotts? Are they involved in mutual aid? Are they contacting the coal miners striking in Alabama or the Frito-Lay workers striking in Kansas or the Nabisco workers striking in Portland, Oregon, Richmond, Virginia, parts of Illinois? Are they contacting the Starbucks workers trying to unionize in Buffalo? The Amazon workers trying to unionize in New York? The nurses striking in Massachusetts? The nurses about to strike in Buffalo? The window cleaners that just won a new contract who went on strike? The concession stand workers at the San Francisco Giants ballpark, they're on strike. Are those folks doing tons of videos on those? Are they inviting those workers on? Huh? No. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is that they're not doing that? It's not as profitable. Not as profitable, not as clicky. And by the way, I'm all for a food fight from time to time. I'm all for some clickbait from some time to time. Sometimes we put all caps in a headline. Occasionally we'll dive into something a little lighter or internet squabbles. There's nothing wrong with doing that from time to time. But when that becomes 85% of the progressive movement, when I was out, when Jen and I was out covering Nina's campaign, we started talking to some of the people volunteering on her campaign. And I felt really hopeful because if you just pay attention to the internet, you'd feel like there is no hope. There is no organizing going on. And literally, I'm talking like between 15 and 20 people that I met there, unprovoked, not brought up by me, said, thanks for coming. The progressive media, it's disgusting what's going on. They mentioned some names. I won't get into that. But they said it is disgusting how grifters are dividing the left. So, bottom line, people have a right to feel angry. I feel angry because I'm out there seeing that Flint, 7.5 years later, still doesn't have clean water, that the people who poisoned those residents are still not in jail. They might never be in jail. I'm angry that people like Peshawn Brown, 39-year-old, would have been 39 today, dropped dead. We don't know why. We do know Amazon, in my opinion, illegally had her conducting COVID tests on coworkers. There's no justice for Peshawn. No justice for a family. Amazon just got away with it. They buried the story. I'm angry because, frankly, Bernie, for all the great things he's done, this is a pandemic. I think he should have fought Biden from day one. Day one. You got Trump out, fight Biden. Don't stand by as he preemptively folds the tent on a $15 minimum wage. Don't stand by as he refuses to even talk about Medicare for all during a pandemic. Don't stand by and call him the most, progressive president of our history when he's blocking a $15 minimum wage. He's moonwalked away from a public option, all those things. I could criticize Bernie with the best of them. The difference is I'm not going to mislead you and manipulate you and try and prey on your anger and frustration by saying, coward, fraud, sellout, all these things, the enemy. Because it's not true. Is he doing what we think he should be doing? No. But Bernie Sanders isn't the biggest problem. Bernie Sanders is not the impediment to what we want. And anyone selling you that is a fucking liar. AOC, the squad, whatever the case may be, either they've been seduced by this have to play the long game bullshit, or Elizabeth Warren's, got to be inside at the table to make it happen. Whether they're just naive, whether they're just not strong enough to fight and play hardball, whatever it is. I think they have not done what they said they were going to do. I think they have not brought the ruckus to the Democratic Party. I think they've been too focused on social media, magazine covers, book deals, what have you. I also think they're mostly women of color. We shouldn't discount the death threats they get every day. A lot, specifically Ilhan Omar, AOC. We're not in Congress. We can imagine the pressures they're getting, but unless you're in there, you don't know. Totally. So I could say, I think they've been weak. I think they folded like a cheap tent without going to this lowest common denominator stupidity. So to do 20 videos a week on AOC, fraud, and a sellout, and this, the other thing. And I think it's a great thing because Credit Card just said, what had criticizing them gotten you? Nothing. Because the point is, it's not about whether you criticize them or not. What I'm talking about is not don't criticize Bernie Sanders, AOC, or whatever. That's never what we've been talking about. What we've been talking about is, okay, what's your plan after that? What's your plan? If thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people are supposed to follow YouTube hosts into political battle, and they're following what those YouTube hosts are telling them, and those big tweeters are telling them, do you have a plan? Force the vote was a tactic. A tactic. And I agreed with the tactic. I still do. I still think they should try to force the vote on several things, including a $15 minimum wage. But that's not a That's not an organizing strategy. The plan, what's the plan? Movement for a People's Party? I like a lot of the folks in there. Movement for a People's Party has trouble getting more than 20 people out for any given event. That's the truth. I don't know what a movement you're having if you can't get more than 20 people out. I'm not attacking their efforts, but that's the truth. And I'm telling you the truth. They just did a Occupy Congress thing. I support it. There wasn't a lot of people there. Doesn't mean they're terrible or they're sellouts or frauds. The truth is, a third party is a long-term strategy. It's not something that will get us major victories in any soon period. There's the battle to get on the ballots. There's the battle to get around media blackouts. There's the battle. You think they rig things when you are in the Democratic primary? Try it when they're going to rig if you have a competitive third party candidate. So it's not to say don't work towards a third party. If you want to grow MPP, have at it. I'm not saying don't, but that can't, people can't say that's the plan. Well, that's not an effective plan to short-term structural change. It could be a piece of things. Do you have a plan to try and organize? And that word sometimes is overstated, but in this case, is there any plans to organize actual community groups, actually community networks to take an economic action, whether it be to boycott the local big banking in your community, boycott the local grocery store that's exploiting workers, boycott Amazon, boycott Walmart, create a mutual aid pot so the workers are not victimized? Because that would be great action. And it might not get you Medicare for all overnight, but it might get you actual victories. And those things build up when you have community organizing. Sorry to borrow from that fraud Barack Obama, but when you have community organizing, those networks could build up to a national network. One of the things that was great about Occupy Wall Street was it was kind of organic and unexpected. What it wasn't, it didn't start on a smaller basis building up. So there was no foundation for other cities and other states. Sure, you had Occupy activities in other cities and other states, but they kind of fizzled out. I think if we lose subscribers, so be it. If we lose members, so be it. But I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm not, and Jen is not. We're not going to just go for cheap clicks. I mean, hell, a lot of these channels have openly admitted, yeah, we have to do that. I think the Vanguard, I heard them say, yeah, I mean, that's what we have to do to get people in the door to substantive conversations, which I like those guys, but I got to tell you, I think a lot of what they're talking about is not substantive at all. It's a food fight. That's the truth. I like them. I've been on there. I think some of the things they do is good. I mean, they're a perfect example. If they do a video on, I don't know, Glenn Greenwald battles this person or whatever, they might have 1,000 live viewers. If they do a video a couple days later, like on, something substantive about the Afghan withdrawal or something else, they'll have 200 or 300 viewers. That's the truth. So YouTube gives incentives for dividing people, for battle royale of rage. Trust me, I'd have a lot less gray hair in my beard, in my hair, if I said, fuck it. I've done enough. I've traveled enough. I'm actually on a bum ankle right now. I hurt my ankle 3 weeks ago, and it's not getting any better because I have been walking around and traveling, and I'm currently trying to plan a trip. I've had 2 back surgeries, so trust me, I've been around. It would have been a lot easier if I just said, fuck it. You know what? What are we at? If I did this 2 years ago, what are we at? 40,000, 50,000 subscribers? I'm going in, baby. Trump, 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 Russia, Russia, Russia. I'll sprinkle in occasionally the Democrats being corrupt, but I'm doing Trump and Russia. Oh, YouTube loves that. Why do you think the Young Turks did it for so many years? 24/7 Trump. That would have been easy to do. Why didn't I do it? Because I didn't really think I need to be the 200,000th person of the hour tweeting the same goddamn thing about Donald Trump or doing a video about Donald Trump. I covered Trump when I really had something unique I thought to add. Not because I didn't think it was important to cover him. He's a lunatic. Did a lot of terrible things as president. I think he has really poured gasoline and stoked white supremacy, Islamophobia, and a whole lot of other things. So trust me, we could take the easy way. I mean, we could start doing really fucking sensational, entertaining food fights. But that doesn't really give me purpose as a journalist or as a person. It just doesn't. Maybe it's a way to others to distract them from the misery of what's going on. That could be it. Credit card Jordan, you should talk about Michael Tracy investigative work around colleges. Yeah, we're going to disagree on that. Sorry. That's another topic. It's not investigative when you go to a college with a megaphone saying, I have sources telling me, and like shouting at students and talking about mass surveillance on students. Kind of one of the fundamental things of journalism is kind of, do you have any evidence to provide? You know, for example, a lot of our Flint stories, significant amount of it's been built on anonymous sources. Those sources stayed anonymous for pretty obvious reasons. But we had documents that supported those anonymous sources. Documents from criminal investigations. We had sources on background that backed up what anonymous sources were saying. I mean, if I just rolled up to like, I don't know, former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder's mansion with a megaphone and said, you know, I have a lot of sources telling me you've been pouring lead in Flint's water. I mean, I'd be mocked. So sorry if you think Michael Tracy is a bastion, an example of great journalism. He's not. Michael Tracy, he's a contrarian. His default setting is let me pick the opposite. I mean, I remember when I was at the Young Turks, I thought it was gross. His main focus after Charlottesville was those poor neo-Nazis losing their jobs, getting fired for participating in the Charlottesville rally, citing their civil liberties. Yeah, show me the part of the Constitution which guarantees you private employment. Guarantees you free speech, and your free speech having no consequences in private business. I mean, it was absurd, the story he wrote. Maybe as a Jew, I was offended too. We're not talking about defending neo-Nazis' right to speak. They had a right to go to Charlottesville. I wasn't talking about that. But Michael was his mind works in a way that the main focus, the main victims here are neo-Nazis who held tiki torches chanting Jews won't replace us, that they're getting retribution and losing their employment. Yeah. When you're dealing with people like that, they're not really, their first thought isn't like injustice, corruption, which I think is the tenets of journalism. It's how to get attention. It's how to stir shit. It's how to be a contrarian to stir outrage. And he's very good at that. And, you know, I saw Glenn Greenwald praising him, that Michael Tracy got off his ass and went to do journalism. Can you imagine for a second if Rachel Maddow showed up? I don't know. If Rachel Maddow showed up to like a business and said, you know, I have a lot of people reaching out to me sources telling me, you know, there's workers in that business that are have Russian ties. That there's workers at this I don't know, accounting firm that are really working for the Kremlin inside the United States. Could you imagine if Rachel Maddow did that? Rachel came with a megaphone. Just, I have people reaching out to me telling me this, sources. I don't think Glenn Greenwald would be saying, Rachel Maddow got off her ass and she did journalism. Jordan, but he doesn't have the same resources that lady has. Excuse me? That's not a function of resources. He literally showed up at a college claiming he was invited by masses of students that he wouldn't name and basically tried to lecture the students about lockdowns. I mean, that's not journalism. That's just being a charlatan. It's not a resources thing. If he had the sources, I'm sure he could have found one of them to go public with their concerns. So sorry. Yeah, Michael Tracy, not crying journalistic crocodile tears for Michael Tracy. And you should look at some of Michael Tracy's past work because his journalism really seems to focus very much so on being a contrarian, in a lot of cases dismissing things that shouldn't be dismissed, like January 6th, Charlottesville. Now he's making it that COVID is not really that big of a deal and people are being hysterical. Yeah, well, speaking of hysterical, feel free to Google Michael Tracy and Coulter speech. See how this tough guy Michael Tracy acted in college at a Ann Coulter speech when he was forced out by security and went kicking and screaming. Anyway, I guess the point of this, because this has been a long tangent, is, you know, there's realities. Jordan, why are you talking about Michael Tracy instead of the eviction crisis or solutions outside of the electoral system? I guess you missed our 2-week reporting trip recently covering the evictions in Philadelphia, Cleveland, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Why am I not talking about it? We literally just did a reporting tour talking about it. Feel free. There's a playlist for it. It's just amazing to me. Just amazing to me. By the way, while we were doing that eviction tour for 2 weeks, we scratching quarters together to pay for it. We were also working on a major Flint story that we broke at the same time. So, but, you know, to me, bottom line, you know, the left is heading in a direction where channels that feed rage and simplistic narratives and black or white narratives and good versus evil, pure versus fake, they're going to do very well. That's just the truth, because they are preying on a big opening, a vacuum of people that don't feel like they have a leader right now and feel like things are hopeless and feel like there's no point in even bothering with electoral politics. And I think, honestly, to me, I've said this for a year now, I think the only way you're going to get Medicare for all and structural change is outside of electoral politics. But that doesn't mean electoral politics just be done with it. No, things aren't mutually exclusive. Like, two things could be true. I think we need economic boycotts in this country like 10 years ago. At the same time, if there's a potentially strong candidate that could increase our numbers and that we think is going to actually fight, why would you ignore that candidate? Why would you say, don't bother because these people have burned us? That's just, it's not productive thinking. It's sabotaging. So with that said, appreciate you watching. I don't know for sure. It'll depend on a few things, but possibly might be live for a little bit on Sunday. My birthday's Monday, so we might do a little morning live stream on Sunday, depending on other plans I have. to try and boost our membership. And if I got to push my birthday to do so, so be it. But I appreciate you guys watching. We'll clip out parts of the the Christina Brown interview, as well as my interview with one of the Alabama coal miners. And we'll be back at it next week. We're currently working on trying to finalize a reporting trip. So haven't finalized it yet, but trying. And I appreciate all of you sticking with us. I hope you'll consider signing up as a member. StatusCoup.com/join. StatusCoup.com/join. Sign up as a member for as low as $5 a month. You get access to our members only call, as well as behind the scenes content and our Discord channel. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your support as a member. Thank you to the people who don't unsubscribe if I say something that they disagree with. And to the people that are, I'm not lecturing you. I don't look down on you. I truly hope that whatever you're looking for politically, you get elsewhere. I think it's a dangerous direction when people basically say, no, I'm leaving, I'm unsubscribing, I'm not membership, whatever, I'm done with you because you're not validating my views 1000%. Not a good way of going about the world, I think. Thank you for watching. Might see you Sunday, but if not, see you Monday. Peace out.